La comunidad indígena Nasa Yumbo Chachayucaiza, con resolución 007 del 29 de enero del 2020, filial a la organización regional Valle del Cauca, Orivac, reciban un saludo de armonía y de resistencia al colectivo Cóndor Rojo por su gran apoyo y solidaridad en tiempos difíciles que estamos viviendo en Colombia, a causa del gobierno de Iván Duque Márquez, quien está en contra del pueblo que se encuentra en las calles exigiendo su justo derecho constitucional y democrático. Un gobierno que está causando crímenes de lesa humanidad, acceso carnal violento, utilizando a las mujeres dadoras de vida como motín de guerra, desaparición forzada, torturas, desmembramiento de los cuerpos de los jóvenes protestantes, judicialización express, persecución, señalamiento, amenazas. El pueblo colombiano resiste. Cuenten con nosotros para la paz, nunca para la guerra. ¡Fuerza, fuerza!
Guardia, guardia.
Muy buenas noches a todos los que están conectados en este momento, que estén en todas partes del mundo. Me imagino que están en United States, USA, Germany, France, Colombia, UK, Spain. Vamos a hacer este conversatorio en Spanglish para que todos puedan como coger un poquitico de la información de la que vamos a hablar. First of all, I want to dedicate this program, this live stream, a todas las personas que se encuentran en estos momentos en Colombia en una situación económica de resistencia tan dura que ya no es ni siquiera vivir, sino sobrevivir. A los jóvenes que no tienen educación, a las familias que ya, por la situación no solamente del paro nacional, sino también con la situación del COVID, no tienen ni siquiera un plato de comida al día, a las personas en las ciudades que les ha tocado irse de sus pueblos. Este programa es para ustedes, con esas organizaciones que están haciendo un trabajo tan maravilloso, humanitario. Les quiero dar la bienvenida a Carlos de Red Condor Collective y a las chicas de la Voz del Amazonas. Vamos a empezar con Carlos para que nos hable de quién es Red Condor Collective, y luego le damos el turno a la Voz del Amazonas.
Hey Juana, thank you for the introduction. And yeah, just to say that, Red Condor is, we've been around, less than a year, I think like a year in September. And we've been doing, the kind of work we've been doing during the battle. We've been doing for all this time, almost a year now. And it's just basically about the diaspora, Colombians abroad, showing our solidarity with activists back home, especially like more radical activists who don't get the help they should be getting. Usually there's a lot of help, towards like NGOs, charities, and which is needed as well, of course. But us as activists, and myself as socialists, the organizations I'm part of are socialists, and we believe in radical, revolutionary change. And so we set up Red Condor to, for that particularly, to kind of help activists who are usually not helped, who are usually neglected, especially in the where we are in the West. But yeah, and then during the battle, obviously we've been focusing mainly on not just radical political groups as we usually work with, but also like I'll go in more detail later, but medical brigades, grassroots human rights organizations. And I always made a distinction between grassroots and mainstream human rights organizations, because we know about, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch and the bigger human rights organizations who do good work, but who sometimes neglect, or who sometimes are kind of steered towards, quite Western-centric, Eurocentric, imperialist political stuff. So we like to differentiate between the grassroots, who are, the people on the ground, Colombians, just like us, who care about the situation and who are out there doing the work. work that sometimes these mainstream organizations don't do for our people.
Carlos, just a quick question. Why Red Condor? ¿Por qué se llaman Red Condor?
That's a good question. And we had a vote. There were a few names. We had a vote in the group. Why Red Condor? Oh, so the Condor because also, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a thing called Operación Condor, which is the United States had a program. I'm not sure if it was in the 80s or 90s with the CIA, and it was like a military operation in the whole of Latin America, and they called it Operación Condor. And it was like a really nasty, like kind of against revolutionary change, against activists, and against like, you know, left-wing organizations. So we decided, like, why did they take our condor, which is, you know, the condor of our people, the condor of our continent? Why did they take it? We should take it back. And yeah, so we chose Condor and Red because a lot of us are communists. I'm a communist. Some in my organization are communists as well. So Red for communism.
Thank you, Carlos. We know that La Voz del Amazonas es como un grupo de mujeres. Entonces, no sé cuántas son y cuáles son sus nombres. Bienvenidas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica. Somos 5. Las 4 que es yo, mi hermana y las otras 2 que no pueden estar acá. Somos 4 hermanas. Y también compartimos la organización con nuestra amiga Karina.
Hola, yo soy Karina.
Y yo soy Cindy. So, somos 5 powerful women.
Muy bien. ¿Nos pueden hablar un poquitico sobre la organización de La Voz del Amazonas? Lo mismo, ¿por qué La Voz del Amazonas?
So this came about last year, March, I think, roughly March. The beginning of COVID. Yeah, the beginning of COVID. Obviously, we became aware of the situations that were happening in the Amazon, within the communities, by my uncle and auntie that live out there in Puerto Nariño. So they told us of their situation, what's been happening, how it's been for them, and obviously we was like, no, we have to do something. Like, we can't just allow this to happen. Like, the government has been neglecting them for centuries. We're currently at a really bad time, something that they've never experienced. So that's when we decided to create La Voz del Amazonas and do something out for the communities that people are always neglecting.
We wanted to call it La Voz because we're using nuestras voces para nuestros indígenas. So that's why we called it La Voz del Amazonas, because not only do we want to help the communities in Colombia, but we also expanded to Peru. And, you know, we want to do toda la Amazonas. We're not just sticking to one part. We've got big plans coming.
Wow. We know that you've been doing an amazing work. Why did you choose the indigenous people? Do you feel, I ask these questions because a lot of people take this personal. Do you guys feel indigenous yourselves?
100%. 100%.
Do you feel proud of that? Yes, I feel very proud of that.
Unapologetically indigenous.
Wow, amazing. It's really nice to see people like this because unfortunately we live in an area en donde la gente se avergüenza, pero creo que las personas estamos empezando a tener como un cambio de conciencia, no solamente de que somos de una tierra indígena, porque Latinoamérica, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Perú, somos una tierra indígena, sino que también somos afrodescendientes, ¿sí? I just want to mention very quickly that obviously this program is about funding, but it's about funding because we have, unfortunately, the deficit of poverty in Colombia is absolutely horrific. Las cifras de pobreza, no solamente este año, sino en años atrás y desde siempre, es muy doloroso, especialmente en los sitios en donde hay, en Buenaventura, por ejemplo, es 66% of poverty in Buenaventura, y es el puerto más importante de Sudamérica y el puerto más importante de Colombia, y la riqueza y todo lo que maneja el puerto es muy grande, no solamente lo que es el oro y lo que es el petróleo, sino las comidas, muchísimos tipos de cosas, y la mayor parte de negligencia va a Buenaventura, no solamente en la presión social, no hay educación, no hay salud, sino también en las vidas. Hay muchos desaparecidos y hay mucha gente a la que están matando, y obviamente teniendo en cuenta de que así igual de esa manera como en Buenaventura tenemos este caso tan horrible de pobreza, pues La Guajira es una de las comunidades en donde más pobreza hay, y esto ha sido un caso por más de 20, 30 años, y allí tenemos una de las minas de oro más grandes del país. Entonces es muy triste. Les voy a presentar en estos momentos a Valentina Arroyave, que nos va a hablar sobre la situación económica en términos de pobreza del 2019 al 2020, para que ustedes, so you can have an idea of, people tend to think that this poverty thing is about, the COVID, like the president made it seem like, because we are in a crisis because of COVID-19. This is not just a crisis from COVID-19. This has been a crisis, a human crisis, for all the Colombian history, throughout the Colombian history. And we want to make you aware about the situation in terms of, poverty. So we have Valentina Arroyave here with us. Welcome, Valentina.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here. And as Juana was saying, we're going to talk about the situation of poverty in Colombia, because we all know that this strike has not started just because of one reform, and not just this year. This is a build-up of a situation when the people has gotten tired from their governments to not take care of them. And it's really easy to see in numbers. So as she said, in the north of Colombia, particularly in the coast, is really, really rich in materials. It has a great location geographically, but somehow the people who live in these regions seem to suffer the most about not having enough resources to survive. So I did a little research, and there is a national administrative department in Colombia that does statistics and polls and surveys, and they have gathered a lot of information from 2012 to 2020. So I'm going to focus a little bit on 2019 to 2020 to show how the situation has gotten so much worse in just 1 year. And we're talking, all this happened previous to this strike, so it's nothing from this year. We're not talking about how bad COVID is this year or how bad the strike has gone in these last 60 days. No, we're talking about before that. So we're going to pick examples because there is a lot of departments in our country. So we're going to pick the 7 top departments in the north. And yeah, we're going to see this table here. So we're talking from the 7 departments: La Guajira, Magdalena, Cesar, Sucre, Córdoba, Bolívar, y Atlántico. And as you can see, the first columns refer to 2019, and the third and fourth column refer to 2020. And as you can see, the incidence of poverty, and these ones are calculated just by anyone who lives below the line of poverty, and this line is calculated by if people can have enough income to buy the products of the basic basket.
Wow.
So that's how it's calculated. So
that's a big number.
1% of people in La Guajira don't have enough income to buy just the basic basket products. And this increased by 1.17% in just 1 year. But for example, if you go to Atlántico, it was even more impressive. The incidence of poverty had a variance of 9%. And if you reflect this in people, it means that over 260,000 people more became people that are considered to be in poverty, who cannot.
Extreme poverty.
No, these ones are poverty. Extreme poverty is when, like, you cannot even know the basket, but you cannot even buy enough food products that are required for your caloric deficit to survive. So it's just not just products in general. When you talk about extreme poverty, it's even just not food. And So in a national level, there was a rise of 6.8% in poverty and a 5.5% of extreme poverty. This is to say that in 2020, 15.11% of people in Colombia were considered to be in extreme poverty. They did not have enough income to buy just the food that they're required to survive, that the body needs to survive. And if you translate that to people, to actually amount of people, that means that 3.5 million of Colombians entered poverty from 2019 to 2020. And of that, 2.8 is actually extreme poverty. I also found out there's even the region with like the lowest incidence of poverty was found to be Manizales, and even there is a 32.4% of people in poverty. So even when we're talking about the lowest, we're still finding that it's over 1/4 of the population.
Wow, that's too much.
And this was just before. So yeah, in this map you can see the 7 top ones that we chose to talk about. So if you actually want to know more about all these and see how this has changed, how this landscape of poverty has changed in Colombia, you can go into the DANE, D-A-N-E. DANE is el Centro Estadístico de Colombia, and check then last April they published all this data up to 2020, and you can find all from each department, each town, the difference between the rural areas and the metropolitan areas, who have also different increase of incidence. And also, just to point out, because obviously we need to know that particular cases are important, and this is to say that when they check, they also check quality. So the head of the household, they try to see which characteristics they have and if these made a difference when it came to having a higher incidence of poverty. And they found out that females, that when females are head of the household, it tends to happen that there is a higher incidence of poverty. Also, they check age groups. The younger you are, the higher chance that you will have a higher incidence of poverty. So any household with the people is below 25 years, in that case, over 50% of those households are considered to be in poverty. This also is affected by your educational level, by if you're a minority, by your occupational status. So we can see how, if we check especially this age group, you can easily connect the dots and see how it's normal that the people that we're seeing out in the street fighting the strongest are young people.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who have encountered the hardest circumstances at the moment.
No wonder why they're fighting, you know?
Exactly. They have, as they say, in this you can see the number of poor people in these 7 regions. And as you can see, the blue dots represent the people in 2019, and the orange 2020. The slug is from 450,000 people up to 1,150,000. In all these regions, it's above 450,000. And in Atlantico, for example, we see how was an increase of almost 300,000 people. So honestly, there is no wonder they're fighting. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain, because they are already in a condition they cannot survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so there was another.
This is why this is so important, that some group of people are trying to help them, are trying to see how from our end we can help them improve the situation, because they need improvement, they need to be paid attention to, and we can see that in plain numbers that they just can't afford to leave.
Thank you, Ale. I think we have another image. I'm not sure if you want to talk about that.
No, it's just a similar image. It's the incidence of poverty, and you can see how it has varied. But even if it's by little, it has always grown.
Wow. I just want to take some time to say thank you for everybody who's watching at the moment. James, Stars, Mr. Morgan, Juliana Salinas, Sandra Dixon, Mr. and Mrs. T. Thank you for being here. And everybody else who's watching, thank you so much. We will read your questions and everything later on. Sorry, let me just get back to Valentina with these maps.
So yeah, in these maps, as I say, extreme poverty and just poverty are different just by the little difference that when you're in poverty, just means you cannot afford the basic products. But when you're in extreme poverty, you cannot even afford enough food to survive, like the minimum that your body requires. So in these two maps, we see how most of this poverty, there is no data from the south, but in these ones, you know, the more west and more north you go, it seems to get worse. And we can see easily how Meta, Valle del Cauca, Atlántico seem to be the areas when this poverty is like hit the hardest. And this is easily correlated to where the areas when the tension and the social situation and the social strikes are going the hardest as well.
Also, just military bases in there. The multinationals, BPs, multinationals there as well.
They're all connected because the places where there is more repression or when there is more industrialization from international corporations and forces, there is less for the people who live there.
So sad. Valen, thank you so much for this explanation. I think I'm sure en estos momentos ya la gente más o menos, inclusive nosotros los colombianos, podemos tener como una idea de no solamente lo que es la pobreza, sino los tipos de pobreza, que es muy triste que hayan tipos de pobreza en un país tan rico. Siendo así, le voy a dar la bienvenida a Miller Juana, que es una de las fotógrafas de medios alternativos y para mí es una gran activista social. Y bienvenida, Miller. Cuéntanos cómo estás.
Hola, muchas gracias por invitarme a este espacio. Estamos bien, pues esta semana precisamente tuve como una agresión directa del SMAT sobre una de las rodillas, pero seguimos bien, seguimos en las calles, seguimos cubriendo, seguimos avanzando en el paro nacional, aunque la comisión del paro dijo que iba a parar las actividades y que ya no iban a haber manifestaciones, ni bloqueos, ni nada, pero esto no lo define ese grupo de personas. Esto lo define la mayoría de colombianos que estamos cansados de vivir en extrema pobreza, cansados de vivir en situaciones desiguales, cansados de no tener espacios, por ejemplo, para estudiar, también cansados de que nos sigan matando los líderes sociales y los firmantes de paz. Entonces, nada, seguimos de nuevo en las calles y pues esto no para, pues como dice, el paro no para y nosotros seguimos también desde el lente registrando como todas esas actividades.
Tú me estabas contando en estos días que hay una campaña en La Guajira en la que tú vas a ser parte, pues en la parte visual de fotografía. ¿Cómo es la conexión allí con los barrios en donde hay tanta presión social? Porque yo sé que también estás como muy involucrada en eso, en ese tipo de información.
Sí, normalmente me gusta como acudir a las comunidades, no solamente a los indígenas, sino también como a las comunidades del campesinado. Sí, listo, dale. Entonces, qué pena, es que estoy como por acá en un espacio abierto, entonces me tocó ponerme el tapabocas. Les voy a ir contando, me voy desplazando, pero les voy contando. Más o menos el 25 de septiembre vamos a estar en una misión humanitaria en La Guajira. La idea es que... Voy bajando por acá, listo. La idea es que nosotros vamos a hacer una avanzada humanitaria. Vamos a llevar alimentos, vamos a llevar también algunos útiles escolares para los niños, vamos a llevar entre esas cosas también una intervención para los dientes de los niños, porque sabemos que allá en La Guajira pues hay varios problemas como con la salud oral. Entonces el viaje va programado para el 25 de septiembre. Estamos obviamente recolectando como un montón de cosas que necesitamos, entre ellas alimentos, cuadernos, colores, libros para los niños. Este es un voluntariado, pero a nosotros nos va a tocar también pagar, o sea, porque nosotros queremos llevar muchas cosas allá, entonces decidimos nosotros también pagar nuestro pasaje, nuestro hospedaje y nuestra alimentación para poder brindarles pues como a ellos también otras cositas que no se ven allá, y pues que es muy complejo porque es un sitio muy abandonado. En Colombia todavía se maneja mucho el centralismo, entonces claro, las grandes ciudades lo tienen todo, pero las ciudades que están más alejadas son muy olvidadas. Entonces precisamente con este viaje humanitario lo que queremos hacer es llevar como un poco de alegría y como también tranquilidad con respecto como a los alimentos a las 6 comunidades que vamos a viajar en Mayapo.
Muchas gracias, Miller. Nosotros supimos lo que pasó en Usme. No sé si quieras hablarnos de eso en este momento.
Bueno, les cuento. Usme es rebautizado hace más o menos un mes y medio como Uzbekistán. Y precisamente porque cuando uno llega a Usme se encuentra con un escenario de guerra impresionante. O sea, no solamente la fuerza pública, sino que los chicos que también están como en esa confrontación generan que uno no solamente le tema como a los gases y a los proyectiles, sino que también tenga que temerle a las piedras, ¿cierto? Entonces, es muy complejo la situación que se vivió hace unos días, hace 2 días exactamente, en Usme nos dejó a todos muy, muy tristes, en especial porque fue un chico que era de primera línea. El chico fue impactado en el pecho por un gas lacrimógeno, una aturdidora. Luego de esto, los chicos que estaban en misión médica acuden pues como a ayudarlo, pero en la reanimación precisamente vuelven a gasear, entonces el chico pues no tiene como respirar pues como aire fresco pues en la misma reanimación, y lo que pasa es que pues fallece inmediatamente. Él es trasladado porque los signos vitales eran cada vez más bajos. Es trasladado, pero al final nos enteramos de su fallecimiento. Ese día fallecieron dos chicos en las confrontaciones, y al otro día, o sea, en el día, hace 2 días nomás, mataron a otro chico en Suba, y era un chico que no estaba en manifestación, estaba en su bicicleta, se estaba trasladando por ahí y recibió un impacto de un gas en la cabeza, entonces falleció. Ayer estábamos precisamente en una velatón. La velatón se estaba presentando de manera totalmente pacífica, hasta que en un momento ya hubo presencia pues como de la fuerza pública, y eso también como que altera a las demás personas. Ayer también hubo una confrontación súper fuerte y estuvieron más o menos, sí, como en las dinámicas de confrontación y todo eso, hasta las 12:30 de la noche.
Gracias, Mille, tenía el micrófono. Muchas gracias, Mille. Ella forma parte de un grupo de fotógrafos y de personas de prensa libre, alternativa, de Medellín. Obviamente ellos están todo el tiempo moviendo a diferentes partes del país. Y inclusive ellos hace poco hicieron una vaqui, no sé si podemos ver aquí en la pantalla, creo que fue el 4 de junio, y ellos tenían pues obviamente como un número que querían como llegar, pero lastimosamente no han habido las ayudas suficientes en este momento. So what we're asking people is to help us with their vaqui, because they need this. You know, we call them the press first liners, frontliners, because they're there con los de primera línea. Ellos están ahí todo el tiempo, and they need all the first aid equipment, as well as glasses, helmets, los chalecos antibalas. Encima de eso, that's their vaqui, and it's very easy. You can just click on it, and you can do it on US, you can do it in euros, you can do it in whatever you want. And, you know, just little by little, at the moment, there is a national strike, so people don't have a job, a financial stability. So anything that we can do to help them, they are the frontliners for the press, an alternative frontline for the press and the photographers as well. And we really appreciate anything that you can do to help them. I just want to talk to Red Condor Collective. Big shout out. Unas felicitaciones inmensas, because we know that the Red Condor Collective has donated £2,000 to El Canal Cali de Colombia. So do you want to talk to us about it a little bit?
Yeah, we did. You know, we've given money to a few independent media. Like we said, we only want to work with independent media, independent human rights organizations, people who are like us. You know, just regular people on the ground, working class, regular, ordinary Colombians who who want to do the right thing. And Canal Dos, like I'm sure everybody knows, like the older guy in Cali who's out in the front lines, you know, not giving a damn, you know, in basically the crossfire between not crossfire, but the attacks from the police and the SMAT, who, you know, might even put him in danger as an old man, like a middle-aged man, as well as his team as well. So yeah, so we thought it was important to donate money to them, but also not just to them, but we've also been giving money to people like Mijer, to groups like the group that Mijer forms part of, and you know, we'll talk to Mijer about possibly getting her and her group some money as well for that vaqui, because yeah, it's important for independent media to who do the actual objective work. You know, the objective work. You know, they mainstream media doesn't give us the objective news. They give us the news of the rich, of the elites, of the wealthy, of the people in power. So we want to empower as much as we can the people on the ground, the independent media on the ground, giving us the news from the perspective of the working class, of the people, of the protesters. So, you know, that's what we feel is important. And also to say, like, you know, the money that we collected isn't ours, as you were saying, Juana, you know, before we started the live. It isn't necessarily Red Condor. We say we're the administrators of the money, but really the money has been collected by all of us. You know, everybody here on this live, as well as everybody in the community. So yeah, really the money is ours, all of ours, and we're willing to help out whoever the community thinks needs it, and that's why we gave to Canal Dos as well, because one of our contacts here with SOS Colombia had a direct contact with Canal Dos, and you know, that's why we gave money to them. So really, it's.
I have to say, I was really thrilled with the amount of solidarity, because this is not charity. What you guys are doing is not charity. And I thought, let me just look at the donations. And I was extremely surprised because I've seen that people have gathered together to do different social activities para donar a la gente, como OSM Tapes donated 520 libras.
Yeah, you know, I would say the artists, like the diaspora artists, Colombian artists in el exterior, like they're like musical artists, painters, like a lot of them have banded together and like selling their art and their music to put it in the GoFundMe. So yeah, shout out.
Yo vi ahí a Wendy Castaño.
Wendy Castaño, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Ella estaba haciendo portraits, ¿o qué fue lo que hizo? Ella donó 300 libras del trabajo que hizo, ¿verdad?
Yeah. So I think she does prints.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how it works, but yeah, there she is. Yeah. So she did that print, and then she sold a few and donated. So yeah, like people like Wendy and other artists, like so many artists banding together to help out is awesome. It's really, really awesome.
I've mentioned earlier on about Buenaventura situation, and you came across as, you know, providing aid, humanitarian aid in the situation in Buenaventura. I just want to show you guys what they've been doing in Buenaventura. When did this happen? Can you talk to us about the video that they're going to put on just now?
Yeah, so this was a couple of weeks ago, and is our close friend and activist, Leonard Renteria. He's like a very well-known black activist in Colombia. I'm sure like a lot of Colombians have heard an interview he did with, I think it was La W or one of the big radio stations, where they were like, "Why are you guys blocking the roads?" And then he was like, he went in on them like for 5 minutes.
He sang, isn't it, in the middle as well? He made a video.
He's like, "I'm sorry that we're disrupting your roads, but we have a problem here." And yeah, he was going in for like 5 minutes. So yeah, we've had a relationship with him for a while in his organization, Buenaventura Resiste, and they do awesome work, like, you know, helping the working class, poor black population in Buenaventura with mercados, helping the young population in the neighborhoods who, unfortunately, because of the, you know, this government, this capitalist and elitist government who don't give the help that they need. So people like Leonard and his group have to step in and provide things like cultural projects for them to get involved with. And in the Paro, they've been like doing lots of work. And yeah, so this is kind of like the thing they've been doing. One of the projects that they've been doing during the Paro.
Thank you.
Buenaventura Resiste y Red Condor. Somos hijos e hijos de la resistencia. Los jóvenes nos hemos parado desde distintos aspectos de la vida para resistir, para defender la vida, para defender el derecho a vivir con dignidad en un territorio, en un país donde lamentablemente se condena a la gente a la miseria. Pero desde el arte y desde muchas manifestaciones hemos decidido caminar. Y en este camino tenemos grandes aliados que desde distintos lugares del mundo apoyan esta gran causa. Una causa que busca que todos y todas al final, independientemente del color y del sentir, podamos vivir con dignidad. Por eso nos hemos tomado distintos espacios, desde el arte, la cultura y el deporte. Y en esta coyuntura de paro hemos decidido salir a protestar, a resistir, porque entendemos que la resistencia es lo único que ha permitido que durante siglos ganemos la batalla. Por eso seguiremos resistiendo, seguiremos levantando la fuerza, levantando nuestras voces para seguir caminando siempre hacia adelante. Hemos estado en las calles, hemos estado resistiendo y gracias a ustedes, Cóndor, y a todos los demás, podemos decir que la resistencia continúa, que no hemos acabado, que esto tiene que continuar porque lo que buscamos en últimas es el bienestar de todos los colombianos y las colombianas. Gracias.
¡Resistencia! Wow, qué impactante, de verdad, porque, o sea, es impactante, pero a la misma vez es muy triste, y lo digo porque las personas, los guardianes de vida que son, pues el gobierno es el encargado de que este tipo de cosas y este tipo de programas se lleven a cabo, y hay muchas organizaciones internacionales que están haciendo esto, pero en realidad, después de lo que Valentina nos mostró, pues es evidente que estas ayudas humanitarias no se están siendo llevadas de la manera correcta, y tomarse la responsabilidad de ir allá desde las raíces y sanar, porque en realidad eso es sanar a una comunidad en donde todos los días continuamente hay opresiones, hay amenazas, hay homicidios, hay desapariciones. Buenaventura en estos momentos es caótico. La gente de verdad, yo los admiro muchísimo porque cómo pueden dormir en medio de tanta opresión y de tanto terrorismo gubernamental. Vimos otro video. I don't know if we can see the other video. De la Casa de la Paz. But hold on, give me a second. Carlos, tell me about this project about la Casa de la Paz. What is this about?
La Casa la Paz, so it's basically a group of 10 ex-FARC guerrilla members who are reincorporating into civil life. As we know, the peace process hasn't really worked. The government hasn't met their part of the deal, and so these ex-combatants have this particular ex-combatants called, they have a beer, a craft beer called La Trocha, and they also have this project La Casa de la Paz, where basically they've been working on this for a while, for like a couple of years, to have this Casa de la Paz where activists can meet, talk about, you know, how to transform the country, how to bring about peace, how to bring about justice, and also bringing in like working class and also other ex-combatants to come to the house and sell their products, because a lot of them, because of the lack of government help, are suffering. They don't have jobs, and nobody wants to employ them because they're ex-guerrilla fighters. So yeah, so that's how the project came about. And then Red Condor as well as Anticonquista, we've been sending them thousands of dollars to help them with this project. And finally, only a couple of months ago, they opened La Casa de la Paz, and they do all kinds of things. They're like really, really awesome work. You know, I really suggest for people who are interested in helping out Colombia to help people like La Trocha, because these are people who really want to transform society, who really are out there on the streets. Like during the protest, like La Casa de la Paz is being used by protesters to go and sleep there, because obviously, like in the neighborhood, some of the people that go on the front line aren't from the local neighborhood, so they'll go to La Casa de la Paz to stay there. They're fed and so on. And campesinos from around the outskirts of Bogota go to La Casa de la Paz to sell their products on the weekend. So it's an awesome project, and we're like super proud to help them out. And also not just because it's us, but again because it's the funds that people give us to give them. So yeah, we're like super appreciative of that, and yeah, they're beautiful people.
Let's have a look at this video.
Bienvenidos a todos y a todas a la Casa de la Paz. Ya la abrimos hoy, el mercado campesino, el segundo mercado campesino, donde hay excombatientes, hay sobrevivientes y también hay una serie de personas, de amigos y amigas que estamos aquí hoy compartiendo en la Casa de la Paz con nuestros productos. Los esperamos y las esperamos.
Wow. Listen, thank you so much for what you're doing and what you've been doing, because the impact, the social impact that you are creating among these communities is a life-changing thing. Y no cualquier persona puede hacer eso, y no cualquier persona se puede organizar, y no cualquier persona tiene las pelotas, perdón que diga eso, para ser consistente con este tipo de proyectos humanitarios. Entonces,
and can I say, Juana, as well, like, sorry to interrupt, but I want to say, like, it's not even about, like, we say humanitarian help because, you know, that's how we word it in the West, and that's how we understand it. But I want to say, like, this is solidarity from Colombians to other Colombians, which is what it is. Like, we want to be part of the process. We want to help our people out. And we don't see it as, like, again, like you were saying, like, it's not charity, it's solidarity. Like, we're showing solidarity to our own people. And I think, like, a lot of us Colombians in the West, is how we're gonna have to start thinking. Like, it's not about sending, you know, feeling sorry for these people. No, it's about we have a part to play as well. And these are people who are who are gonna do shit regardless if we give them money or not. They're gonna be out there doing this shit. So
they have been doing it. Han
yeah,
estado ahí
so
haciéndolo.
yeah, exactly. So it's our way from all the way over here where we are to, you know, to help out. And I know La Voz de las Amazonas and other groups as well have been doing the same work. So so yeah, I think it's just a matter of us, the diaspora, being more coordinated and continuing it, because, you know, as we were saying, like, it's not just about El Paro. It's like the whole situation. The whole situation in Colombia is devastating.
Gracias, Carlos. Vamos a hablar entonces ahorita con las mujeres poderosas de La Voz del Amazonas, para que nos cuenten un poquitico sobre, yo sé que estuvieron haciendo hace poco un GoFundMe para ayudar a las comunidades o para ayudar a la situación del paro nacional. Sé que han estado muy ocupadas, a vernos entonces qué ha pasado, cuéntenos, porque pues obviamente queremos que todos vayan y donen en la Vaki, que ayuden con Red Condor Solidarity, Red Condor Collective, y pues obviamente que apoyen esta causa con ustedes, con lo de la Voz del Amazonas. Nos cuentan entonces, no sé quién quiere hablar de ustedes tres. Karina va a hablar.
Bueno, pues en el sentido del paro, comunicamos con el Red Condor, and they passed us a contact, and we're very thankful, by the way. Thank you so much for that. And we managed to speak to a lady que se llama Kiwa, y ella es de un trío de la condena NASA de Jumbo. And
Wow.
I'm not sure if anyone, well, most of us know that not that long ago in Jumbo, there was literally a catastrophic event of violence and bloodshed and just violation of human rights. So we were able to send some money, and she was able to get medical care, because that seems to be the thing that they need the most. At that present moment, what they needed was the medical facilities to help people who are being injured, to help people who are out on the front line, to just, you know, provide the aid that they're not being given. You know, I think it's what we're talking about, solidarity is really important, because it's like to know that we're able to assist our brothers and sisters on the other side when they need it the most really is, you know, I think it shows what we can do when we do unite together. Because to think, you know, their own government, their own people of their country is not helping them. Pero de tener en mente que saben que pueden contar con la gente de afuera, también es como un gran ayuda para ellos también. So it's been really nice to be able to facilitate esa ayuda. It's been really nice. And I was talking to the lady yesterday, actually, and she was telling me, you know, there's so many things that people need. You know, when we first sent money, it was the medical assistance. As of now, as we were speaking, you know, prior to this, prior to COVID, you know, things have not been great in Colombia. So no hay trabajo. Y hasta menos con este paro, hasta menos con el COVID. You know, like there's literally no means of living whatsoever. So it's been really hard for people. So she was telling me, you know, now it's getting to the point when la gente no tiene zapatos, you know. They're out here frontlining and they don't even have like shoes, proper shoes to be walking around and like, you know, running for their lives, literally. Like quote unquote, like, you know, running for their lives. And it's just, it's nice to be able to, like I say, have that platform where we can facilitate that help. So for the next one, we've already sent them money and she's just waiting to be able to go and buy things, because that's another thing. Things are really scarce as well. There aren't many things to buy as well. So it's, my heart really goes out to them. Especially when you speak to the people who are out there really living it and you're like, their reality is very different to our reality. And we're very blessed to be here. As much as we feel their pain, they really are going through something unimaginable.
We take things for granted. Going on that, what you said, obviously it's quite emotional. I just want to read some of the comments that people are sending you guys. Hola a todos, muchísimas gracias por organizar este evento de Juliana Salinas. To all, that's James. Tenemos aquí a Mr. and Mrs. T. Hola, gracias a todos por enseñarnos sobre Colombia. Thank you for teaching us about Colombia. Hugs from CSC USA. Abrazos desde CS USA. Betty Cano Molina, gracias mil. Sandra Dixon, agradecimientos a Red Condor por su maravillosa contribución al Canal 2. Asimismo, gracias a las valiosas mujeres de la voz del Amazonas. Y tenemos aquí a, varios comentarios. It's funny because it's toast. I would be interested to know what the means of sending money is, and there have been any issues with national banking system and if crypto. Never mind. MCI CSUSA, thank you for creating this pedagogical talk. It's beautiful to see all of these fresh faces working together in solidarity for Colombia. Wow, there is hope. Simon, lastly, thanks to all the speakers for all you are doing and for informing us about the situation in Colombia and how we can help. I just want to show some of the videos from La Voz del Amazonas when the pandemic happened, and how you was, helping, o que hicieron con los fondos humanitarios. Yo quiero saber, vamos a ver esta video, pero yo quiero saber pues cómo fue como la situación ahí, porque no entendí muy bien ahí con lo de las canoas. Let's see if you can play, press play.
Aquí están bajando, ellos van bajando aquí. Todos van bajando. Abuela, Juana.
Where is these guys? By the way, that's not me, they're not calling me.
So this is Peru.
So my uncle and my auntie, they traveled by boat to Peru to reach this community.
Wow.
So
because they're based in a place called Leticia, y en Leticia you're connected to different parts of the Amazon. So you're connected to the Brazilian Amazon, the Peruvian Amazon, and the Colombian Amazon. That's why it's easy for them to facilitate to these different regions, to these indigenous communities. Sorry to cut you off, girls. Sorry.
How many? What was the number of the people in the community? ¿Cuántos son, más o menos?
Do you remember numbers?
I'm not too sure how many there were, but
I
Se les dio comida.
Yeah, I think it was over 200 families, if I'm not incorrect, muchachas, ¿cierto?
sí.
¿Y qué fueron las ayudas? ¿Cosas médicas o una mezcla de lo que son comidas y alimentos, cosas básicas?
Sí, cosas básicas, more like, eran como, so the package was more, so each family, depending on the family, either a family of 4 to 6, so it would vary, but it had basically a supply for 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks, but obviously they try to extend it more. And the one that we've recently done as well is to also help, facilitate some games for los niños, porque los niños no tienen nada. So we also included some jueguitos para que ellos jueguen en familia y pues la comida and some medical supplies for the hospital. I didn't send you that video, but we managed to supply some PPE for the hospitals que no tenían.
Someone is typing. It sounds really loud. Sorry, what were you saying?
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, the medical for the hospital. Where about?
En Puerto Nariño.
Ah, hay un video allí también de un mercado que se le hizo entrega a alguien.
Sorry, yo tenía, es que you asked for some videos and we had so many. So I just picked which one rapidito.
Okay. Nick, is it okay if we play the other video, please? She's so beautiful.
I know.
So cute.
Ahora sí voy a hablar en mi dialecto, pues somos Cocama y digo así. Ñaikai ki manti chaika, upai ki manta, nikai ki kanki, tu manaiki, chikai, taitai ta Dios manaiki, y pata nunca, yikai, sha muy ki kanki.
Where did the host go?
Oh.
I guess we're gonna have to take over. We're gonna have to do a coup d'etat.
No. Did you manage to see the whole video?
Back on.
Yeah, we saw the video.
Okay, sorry about that. What did I miss?
Nothing. We were just
we were actually waiting for
figuring out how we're gonna carry on without you. How does this because I know a lot of us are feeling a lot of frustration, even though we're trying to show solidarity and we're trying to do what we can to contribute towards the situation in Colombia, in different parts of Colombia. Mas sin embargo, hay como una sensación de impotencia. Ustedes, por ejemplo, Red Condor Collective y La Voz del Amazonas, ¿cómo se sienten recibiendo los videos y qué sienten que ha sido como lo más duro de formar no solamente la organización y tener que escoger a cuál o cuál no? ¿Y cómo hacen para tomar esas decisiones de this one and this one no? Or how do you do it? I don't know who wants to go first.
You lot go.
I don't know. I think it's not so much in deciding on who gets it and who doesn't. I think it's who needs it the most, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, everyone needs it. Eso sí, al final todos necesitan el ayuda. Es donde podemos ayudar. How can we be most impactful? And then I think we just really evaluate what's the most positive impact that we can do, and we go that route. But I think, I don't know, speaking on my behalf, receiving the videos is, I don't know, por un momento quita el dolor. You know, you're almost like, wow, like to know that we've been able to help someone like that, it kind of does give hope to humanity. Aunque hay mucha oscuridad pasando en este mundo, hay mucha maldad, you know, son esos momentos ahí que uno ve la belleza del mundo. Es como, we really can make the world beautiful together. Solo que sí es difícil, pero tampoco imposible.
Yeah, and that being said, I mean, we started this to help nuestra familia in Puerto Rico. We didn't know we were going to help these many communities. Yeah. It's so crazy how when we started doing this and they start receiving the packages, mi tía messaged me, she was like, ustedes no saben how happy these families are. She was like, let's grab some people from different communities and let's expand. And that's what we did. Yeah. And it's so beautiful to see because it started from a small, just a conversation. It was me and Karina. We were outside in my house just having a conversation. And, you know, we've always been connected to our roots and I've always wanted to give back to the community. And then we just did it. And now look at us helping so many communities and so many indigenous people, and it's just amazing to see. Like it's inspiring to us. We're so inspired because we're ready to do so many more. We're ready to help so many other people, and like I said before, we're not just sticking to Colombia, we're expanding, but con tiempo.
I think what Jessica was saying, like, is so true. Like, we started off with like a conversation, como very innocently, like we want to, you know, help nuestros raíces, and to just, it goes to show, like, you know how people have that mentality of like, oh, what can I do? Like, there's not much that I can do. I'm just one person. It goes to show that just one mind can accomplish so much, and if you join it up with others, there's literally no limits. You know, we apply the limits, but really and truly together we can do a lot in solidarity.
Make a huge difference.
For me, when I see the videos, I get really emotional. Like just seeing their reaction, the smile that we put on their faces. And we wasn't expecting any of this. Like we honestly it was going to be a one-time thing with me and my uncle. But then after they saw their reaction and how well it went for us, they was like, let's do it. Let's do more. Let's expand. We'll tell you guys. We'll connect you guys. And then from there, we've just continued.
Hay que seguir para avanzar y hay que parar para seguir. Carlos, is it difficult because obviously you've gained about 60,000 pounds? Is this a hard work? But what do you personally, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually, what is your satisfaction, or what do you get from that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Like it's hard. It is hard work, like coordinating £60,000. But you know, we always put it into perspective. Like we're sitting on our phone sending money and coordinating or calling people, but there's people on the ground doing, you know, putting their lives on the line for this. So you know, it's not even like I mean, it is hard, but it's not comparable to the work that people do there. But yeah, I mean, and as the other comrades were saying, like, is a difficult situation, but what we're doing is kind of like what helps us deal with the emotions that come with it. I think for me, that's what's helped me, like seeing all these videos, like that video and the news of Santiago, that the guy, the young man in Cali that was killed by the police and decapitated, is difficult to deal with. But we can't just, dwell in our feelings and in our emotions. We have to keep doing the work, and that's kind of like what helps us. I mean, I don't know, I speak for myself, but is what helps me kind of deal with the emotional side of things, like knowing that at least you're doing something for the community. But yeah, it's mad difficult, and seeing like also the medical brigades that we're helping out. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw in our social media the other day, we posted like one of the medical brigades that we help out, as they were helping people in the protest, they were shot with I don't know if it was what did they call them, the gas, the gas bombs.
Los gases lacrimógenos.
Yeah, and they shot one of those at point blank range at one of the medical brigades personnel, which is disgusting. Like, these are people who they're not doing anything.
If something happens to them, to the police or the ESMAD, they will be the ones to attend them. And this is something we've been trying to establish. We've been trying to establish in every single life that we've had so far. SOSColombiaUK. Nunca en la historia de las guerras se ha visto que ataquen directamente a las brigadas de salud. Eso nunca ha pasado. Nunca.
Yeah, because
pero en estos momentos
are neutral. Like, medical brigades are a neutral force that will help either party who is involved in a conflict or a confrontation. Therefore, they are above and beyond being part of it, and they should not be touched by neither side. And in no conflict, no war, they are ever touched by neither side. And that also applies to the journalists, photographers, and everyone who's just there as an observer to show what's happening. They should not be involved in any way by neither party. That's why this is so shocking over the situation in Colombia right now.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a story like the other day I was talking to one of the guys from the medical brigades that we've helped, and we were actually in the live as well, and he was telling us a story of he was attending to a protester to a policeman that had been injured, and he was attending to him, and he finished, he helped him out, did whatever he had to do, and then as he finished, his colleague, another policeman, came and kicked him and, swore at him and was like, now get the fuck out of here, you idiot, or whatever. So, these are people who have no respect for anybody, not protesters, not civilians. We today, actually, we've sent money to the mom of what's his name, John Madlon in Cali, who was shot with a rubber bullet close point blank range as well, in the back of his head, and paralyzed his neck, and paralyzed his to the point where he can't even speak, because they paralyzed his neck and his tongue. And he wasn't even a protester, he was just a passerby. So yeah, the police have no respect. The police and the riot police have no respect for anybody in Colombia.
For human life.
The only people they respect is the elites, the rich, the wealthy, and the multinationals, and the foreign multinationals who they protect.
Muchísimas gracias. Yo quiero hacer una pequeña intervención aquí con Juana. Yo sé que Juana está, si quieres quitas la cámara para que puedas hablar. A mí me gustaría saber, en términos de ayudas, qué necesitas, qué nos quieres pedir. Por favor, Juana, yo sé que no solamente esto es como para los medios de prensa alternativos, sino también como para las causas, o sea, algún tipo de vaqui con esta organización o este grupo que se organizó para ir a La Guajira en septiembre. En todo caso, la información, we're going to put all the information on our Facebook and our Instagram. We're going to put all the links, all the Instagram accounts, all the Vaki accounts, all the GoFundMe accounts on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. I know you can't get a link on the actual image on Instagram, but you can get that access through Facebook and YouTube. Entonces, Juana, no sé qué nos quieras pedir aquí desde esta parte internacional, cómo podemos ayudarlos.
Bueno, primero que todo, pedirles disculpas porque estoy en la calle, entonces pues me cogió la videollamada por acá. Pero bueno, pues como decía Juana, nosotros tenemos una Vaki. La Vaki es precisamente para los chicos que hacen periodismo, fotoperiodismo y reportería gráfica en Medellín, porque hay muchos de ellos que no tienen cascos, máscaras, no tienen, por ejemplo, unas gafas para poder acudir a los espacios de movilización. Esa es una. La otra es precisamente lo que les decía ahorita. Nosotros vamos con una misión humanitaria para La Guajira y esto se hace con una fundación que se llama Comunidad Sin Hambre. Nosotros estamos haciendo una recolecta por PayPal. Por ahí estamos como recogiendo los fondos, también estamos recogiendo alimentos no perecederos, ¿cierto? Como para las personas que quieren ayudar con alimentos, con elementos de bioseguridad, con juguetes para los niños, con libros, ¿cierto? Entonces, pues me imagino que para ustedes les queda mucho más difícil los materiales, si nos pudiesen ayudar como con, no sé, algunos recursos, todo sería precisamente para la implementación de esta misión humanitaria, rescatar. Y algo que les quiero recordar y es que el proceso de paz acá en Colombia ha ayudado mucho a que esos territorios no sean tan azotados por la violencia, aún siguen siendo muy olvidados, en especialmente todas esas periferias, lo que es el Amazonas, La Guajira, Buenaventura.
Se le cortó. Bueno, vamos a ver si ella se puede reconectar. Si no, entonces ahí tenemos pues toda la información. Voy a leer los mensajes de Caterine Huiza España. Gracias por absolutamente todo lo que hacen, por esta información tan valiosa, sobre todo por decir la verdad y hacerla real ante el mundo. Gracias por este espacio, por este trabajo. Antonio Ramírez, gracias Voz del Amazonas, Red Condor y Juventud Colombiana organizada en el mundo. Nos sentimos orgullosos de su trabajo y práctica de solidaridad. Solo el pueblo salva al pueblo. Juliana Salinas, Corazones Rotos, Colombia, muchas lágrimas, creo que todos nos sentimos así. María Catalina Venegas, gracias a todos y todas porque la solidaridad es el único tejido que nos queda. El neoliberalismo en Colombia ha pretendido por décadas destruir el tejido social y no ha podido. Eso sí es verdad. I think we have to emphasize that even though we're going through such a horrible times and many of us can't sleep, and I speak on behalf of everyone, I think, we can't sleep at night, there is this confusion of the bad feelings and the frustration and that we're feeling, but at the same time to see everybody united, todas las comunidades trabajando unidas, viéndolos, yo lo digo así, la gente pobre, la gente humilde, ayudando a su propia gente humilde y ayudando a todas las personas que lo necesitan, gente organizándose, personas formando organizaciones como ustedes, que son organizaciones para ayudas humanitarias, de solidaridad, ayudas de solidaridad. Y esto se está haciendo viral. We know that we're not the only people here in the UK doing this. There is in Spain, in Germany, in the USA, we have people in France. We are organizing in different parts of the world because our people need it. Unfortunately, the number of poverty and the number of humanitarian aid is so urgent that we need thousands and thousands and thousands of people to back up the social deficit at the moment. Vamos a despedirnos. No sé si tengan algo que decir, algo más que quieran, un mensaje de pronto para la gente que vaya a ver este video más adelante. Les doy como un minutito a cada uno para que hablen y den su mensaje desde el corazón, porque esto es un espacio de solidaridad, entonces ¿cómo más hablar de solidaridad si no se hace desde el corazón y del amor? Y muchas gracias por estar acá. Juana, que se tuvo que desconectar antes, el trabajo de ella es hermosísimo. Los invito a todos a que la sigan. Vamos a poner todas las redes sociales en un momento, en todos nuestros espacios de redes sociales. Y los dejo entonces aquí con ustedes porque este programa es para ustedes. El que quiera hablar primero.